Hi everybody, this is your girl Jamila, aka J, and as you all know, we are still in the month of October, so I am back with another video focused on domestic violence awareness, and I'm back with another story. As I said, I have plenty of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the story that I wanted to tell the last time, but I kind of went off into the other one where the pastor told me it was my fault. So now I'm going to go into the actual story that I wanted to tell that time. So first I'll start off by saying that, I don't know how it is for other people, but for a long time, I didn't have any knives in my house. Where I lived at, I had taken all of the knives. The only knives that I had were butter knives or plastic knives. And the reason behind that was because my ex-husband, he would, like I said, it seemed like it was out of a movie. I had never seen or experienced anything like this before until him. He would threaten me with the stick knives, sharp knives. So I remember one time, a lot of the stories, I can't remember how it started, because a lot of times it started over nonsense, just over nothing. But I can tell you what ended up happening. So, one time, I can't remember what happened, but he got upset about something, and he threatened me. He had my back up against the wall. We were in the living room area of the house, and he went in the kitchen, grabbed a knife, one of those little steak knives, grabbed the knife out the drawer, and act like he was gonna stab me with it, and instead he stuck it and right here by my head into the wall. I'm not kidding you. Yeah, he took the knife, and I guess he was trying to really implant fear in me. So he took the knife and grabbed it and right past my face, as if he was gonna stab me in my face, and put it into a wall, and the knife was actually stuck in the wall. Yeah. So, and that happened a couple of times he did that. But the story that I really wanted to tell was one of the times when his daughter was at the house, and I went in the bathroom. It was always some type of argument or something, or not even argument, something where he was yelling at me. So I went in the bathroom to just take a moment to breathe, but I act like I was using the toilet. So I'm sitting here on the toilet, and I'm like, oh God, he's gonna come in here, and I locked the door. So I'm sitting in there, and I'm just sitting there, just minding my business, just taking it in, taking in this peace and breathing. And he's out there banging on the door. He came, open the door, open it. I'm like, what? I'm using the bathroom. And he's like, open this door right now. And I'm I'm just not saying anything. I'm using the bathroom. And he's banging. If you don't open his door, I'm gonna come in there, and threatening me or whatever. So after a while, at first I was just sitting there, but then I had to actually make it seem like I was using the bathroom. So I pulled down my clothes and was sitting on the toilet, as if I was really using the bathroom. And then I just opened the door. I unlocked the door. And when I unlocked the door, he came busting in there and lifted me up, literally lifted me up off the toilet by my throat. Pants and everything is hanging out. Woo-ha, completely exposed and out. And his daughter is standing right behind him, watching everything. Yeah. I think this time she was 2 or 3, because this was one of the weekends that she was at the house, and bathroom door wide open. I'm up off the toilet bowl, lifted up by my throat. Everything exposed. and his daughter standing right behind him. That was one of the most humiliating, embarrassing moments I've ever experienced for a child, you know, that I was caring for, to see me in a vulnerable state like that, to see all of my area exposed. Yeah. So yeah, that was just like another incident, and I'm not gonna focus on it. Like I said, I experienced it in 2 separate relationships, and I'm not gonna keep on like focusing. I just wanted to come on here and like just, you know, pretty much tell my experience and my story and to get it out there. So I'm not gonna keep on talking about it too much, because like it gets me in a space where I'm not comfortable with being. Like, yeah, I'm over it, but to keep on revisiting it and bringing it up, I feel like this is my final, probably my final like exposure of it to like, you know, because it's getting me upset. to be honest, like it's getting me upset to be sitting here like just completely exposing everything and talking about it and revisiting it and thinking about it, and it's like I'm doing all of it at one time, like back to back. Like, yeah, I would talk about it here and I would talk about it there if I, you know, came across somebody that went through something, or, you know, that probably needed to hear an encouraging word, I would talk about it. But to revisit the entire thing like back to back is kind of getting me upset. This is natural though. But yeah, that happened. Yeah. Another incident that I can recall was like he was constantly like grabbing me by my throat and like choking me. So one time in particular, he grabbed me by my throat and choked me because he said something slick to me, and this was like, at this time I was like, oh, I can't deal with this anymore. So I was like, well, one person's trash is another person's treasure. And when I said that, he immediately grabbed me by my throat and choked me to the point where I passed out. And I guess when I passed out, it must have scared him, because he started waking me up, calling me, oh, Jamila, and like bringing me back or whatever. He said that he knew I had passed out because I guess I was foaming at the mouth or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, I passed out. And it was actually at that moment that when I came back that I was like, he tried to kill me, but he couldn't, because God has a greater plan and he can't take me out of his word. And I think that it was at that moment that I realized, like, yo, you can't hurt me. You can't kill me. You can't take me out. And yeah, and because right after that, we moved down south, and that's pretty much when the fight back began. That's pretty much when it began. So after we moved down south, we moved down there. It was his family that lived down there. Like I said, it was his cousin and her mother-in-law, who was a pastor. That was the other pastor that I was talking about. So we would be down south, and in the apartment that we had down south, it would still be fights. But like I said, by this time I was fighting back and I wasn't scared anymore. It had got so bad that, so if you know anything about like the down south, Rose, or if anybody's from down south that's watching this, you know, like the sky seems like it's so close to the earth, especially at nighttime. You can see all of the stars. So it got so bad one night, and this was around the holidays. Like, I never had a good holiday or a good birthday. So it was around Christmas time, and We were in the house fighting, and I left in the middle of the night. I didn't care. I didn't know anything about that area of down south. Matter of fact, I didn't know anything about down south before this, like, at all. Like, my family is from down there, but for me to live down there, I didn't know anything about it. I just knew, and I didn't even drive at the time. So I left the house and I went walking. I walked on the down south road, past people's houses, dogs barking in the middle of the night. The sky was like this close to the earth, okay? And I didn't care. But the thing is, where we lived at, it was like not too far from the shopping area. So we were like right on the outskirts of the shopping area, or the shopping area is right on the outskirts of where we lived at, however you want to say it. And I walked to the shopping area, and because it was Christmas time, they had the holiday music playing and stuff. And it was a Starbucks. I just went and sat out in front of the Starbucks. And I just sat there listening to holiday music. Like, the holiday season is supposed to be the most enjoyable time of the year, like your birthday and holidays. And I was determined to, like, not let him ruin that time for me. So I went and sat in front of the Starbucks in the middle of the night. And thank God we were down south because it wasn't that cold outside. And I just sat there listening to the music that they were playing, sat on the outside and listened to the music they were playing until I think either he came to get me or his cousin came to get me, because I had my cell phone with me, or they drove over there. I don't know how they found me, to be honest. I don't remember how they found me. But I walked off like in the middle of the night, and I was so scared out there on that road. But I was like, listen, I'd rather be over here than be dealing with him hitting me. Yeah, that's another incident that happened. In regards to that pastor that helped me, it was a woman pastor. So when I say she helped me more mentally, because, you know, growing up in church, it's always respect and honor your husband and be the submissive wife, which is, you know, I get it. Submit to your husband. But it didn't say get your behind kicked. It didn't say that. Like, and I think that it's easy to get those two crossed and confused. No, you're not supposed to be getting your behind kicked. That is not what God meant when he meant to submit to your husband and for husband to love your wives. They forgot about that part. Husband, love your wives as Christ loves the church. Okay? They forgot about that part. And then wives, yeah, submit to your husband. But it didn't say anything about submit to abuse. Okay, let's be clear. Let's get it straight, and because people get it misconstrued, and I feel myself getting upset, so I'm gonna just calm down. But yeah, people get it misconstrued. It did not say anything about submit to abuse. Okay, if you are being abused, leave. If you're being physically abused, leave. If you're being verbally abused, leave. I mean, unless they want to change like the verbal abuse, because, you know, verbal abuse, people can change. And listen, I ain't sticking around for no abuse, so you could do what you wanna, but that's just the point that I'm at now. Like, yo, I know what abuse is, and I don't think that anybody should stick around for any abuse, period. I mean, physical abuse is a whole lot different because it's damaging to your body. But verbal abuse is, you know, just as damaging. Like, it damages your psyche. It damages your emotions. Like, people hurt themselves behind that. So that's the best advice I can give, is to just leave. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So yeah, so one day we had a meeting with the pastor, which is his cousin's mother-in-law. And she was like, oh, because he wanted to go back to New York, right? No stability at all. He wanted to go back to New York. I guess I was thriving and you know, doing too much down there. Like, I don't know. Probably because I was fighting him back down there. I don't know. Guess I was thriving too much. So he was like, oh, God said to go back to New York. So the pastor asked us one day when, you know, we was telling her we going back to New York. She was like, well, why did y'all come down here in the first place? And I forgot what reason he gave. And she looked at me and asked me. And I was like, well, you know, I'm just doing like what my husband said. Like he want to come to North Carolina. So we came to North Carolina. He want to go back to New York. So we gonna go back to New York. Like I'm just following behind my husband. She was like, no, that's not how it's supposed to be. God pulled you to walk side by side, not you just follow behind him and don't have a voice and don't say anything. And then it clicked. That's when it clicked for me. Like, wait a minute, this is how it's supposed to be. Like, we supposed to be side by side making decisions together, not just him controlling and because that's what it was, controlling and running everything and running rampant and just jumping here and jumping there, no stability, just all over everywhere. That's when it clicked for me. So I was like, oh, I do have a voice. So me moving down south during that time was a good thing for me because she helped me to see that, no, your voice does matter. You don't have to just stick around and just take anything. And yeah, like I said, it was at that point that I started fighting back and knowing my worth and knowing my value. And, you know, I thank God for her. She don't even know it, but like, I really, truly, if she was to see this video, like, I truly, genuinely thank God for her. Like, she has no idea. Her and my friend, she didn't have no idea either, which is her husband is friends with my ex-husband. But she would tell me all the time, like, you're beautiful, you know, you deserve better. She didn't know like the extent of the abuse. Like, she really didn't. Like, I shared stories with her recently. She was like, what, Jamila? Like, I didn't know that was happening. So this is why I say it's important just to be supportive. If you know anyone that's going through it, just to be supportive. Just tell them, you know, how beautiful they are, how intelligent they are, how smart they are. You know, let them know that you're there for them, whichever way they decide to go. If they decide to stay, I mean, we don't want anyone to stay in an abusive situation, but if they decide to stay, hey, I'm here for you. Call me if you need me. You know, if you want to leave, hey, I'm here for you. Call me if you need me. That's the best that you can do for someone that's in an abusive situation. But yeah, I thank God for that pastor. Like, I don't think she probably picked up on it, but I don't think that she knew exactly what was happening. I don't think she knew about like the fights and stuff, but she probably picked up on it. But yeah, I thank God for her. I didn't want to make this video too long, so I am going to tell probably just one more story, and then I'll get off. Okay? Not going to keep you guys too long. So another story was when we were living in a shelter. So for a little bit of time, let me tell you, I went through the works with this man. Like, so we lived in a shelter, right? And he was abusive in the shelter. So there were plenty of days where I would just leave the shelter. Like, the shelter where we lived, that was like by Central Park. When we finally got to that place, and there were plenty of days where I would just leave. I remember one time me walking from, it was 110th Street by, is 110th, and I know it's on the 2 or 3 line or something, or the 1 line. So it's 110th Street. I remember I walked all the way down to Columbus Circle because I didn't have any car fare. I think that I just had to leave. So I didn't have any car fare. And I actually ended up asking a stranger on this is when like payphones were around. I ended up asking a stranger for like a quarter just to call him and ask him to come get me. I think did we have a car? I don't think we had a car at that time. I forget how he came and got me, or he sent a cab for me or something. I just was like, yo, I'm tired of walking. I just was walking. I was gonna walk to Brooklyn, y'all. But then that's when I realized, like, yo, you can't walk all the way to Brooklyn. Like, I was trying to get away, and I was gonna walk all the way to Brooklyn from 110th Street. And I think I had a shopping cart. I was looking like a homeless person. I had a shopping cart with all my stuff packed in it, and I was like, I'm out of here. And I just left, and I just started walking. I walked all the way down to Columbus Circle, and yeah, I ended up calling him back to like, just please just come get me, or send a cab for me or something. I forgot how I got back, but I knew I couldn't walk anymore. But one time in the middle of the night, we were, I don't know if we were coming back home or we were leaving. I don't know what it was, but I know it was in the middle of the night, and I was like, yo, I'm out of here. And I walked to the other side of 110th Street where the C train is at. And I just was like, yo, I'm out of here. And what happened was he came down the train station stairs, because I was about to get on the train. He came down the train station stairs and was pulling me up the train station stairs and was dragging me by my hair. I had an umbrella and everything. Like the umbrella fell and was dragging me up the train station stairs by my hair. So I'm trying to fight back, because I'm like, yo, I'm not going in this house with him. Like, I'm like, if he gets me inside of this house, what it's going to be. So as long as I'm out here, I stand a chance. So I'm fighting, dropping my body weight just so he couldn't like lift me. Y'all, I learned some fighting tactics. If it was any time that I learned how to fight, because I was never a fighter. If it was any time that I learned how to fight, it was with this man. So I'm dropping my body weight so he can't pick me up and carry me to the house. And what happened was the cops just showed up out of nowhere, because you know the cops are like always patrolling Central Park. So they just showed up out of nowhere. And when they showed up, I walked away. I was like, thank God they came. So they was questioning him, like, you know, everything all right or whatever. And I don't know what he said to them, but I heard it in his voice, like he was scared. He was like, Jamila, like he was, I guess he was scared of what they was going to do to him. I should have let them do whatever they was going to do, but I heard the fear in his voice, so I turned around. I was like, what? And I just told the cops, I was like, yeah, I'm fine or whatever. And I ended up going back inside with him. I probably was thinking like, yeah, now that he sees, like, okay, the cops are going to get involved and you're going to be in trouble, that he would stop. But no, it didn't stop. It didn't stop until, like I said, that very last incident where I had to go to work and we tore that house up. Let me tell you, that house was tore up so bad that when the cops got there, they was like, all of this was done from today. It was like, yeah. But anyway, I think that I'm gonna end my stories like with him on that note. And then on my next video, I'm gonna start with my other experience of domestic violence. And let me tell y'all something. My experience of domestic violence with my ex-husband, with him, he was not, hold on, the tea kettle is boiling, hold on. My experience of domestic violence with him, he was not like an alcohol drinker. He didn't drink any alcohol. He didn't do any drugs. He just was an abusive person. It's not like he got like that once he got under the influence of alcohol or any type of substance abuse. He's just an abusive person. It's just what he was. And I found this strange. Like, everybody would always ask me, like, well, did he do this? Did he drink? Did he do that? He didn't do any of that. However, the next set of stories that I share, I was with someone that had substance abuse issues. And it's like every time he would get the alcohol in his system or whatever, drug or whatever, it would get crazy. So, and that was a little bit different. Like, and you can tell, like, because when he wasn't drinking or anything like that, like, he was the most loving person in the world. But once he got that stuff and other issues that happened from childhood, like with his mom and stuff, because his mom was like on drugs and stuff. So, yeah, when it's like it was a difference, but nonetheless, it was still abuse. So I'll get into that set of stories next. And also what I want to do when it gets like on my last video, it gets towards like the end of the month on my last video, what I'll do is I think I'm gonna go live and pretty much have like a discussion. I'll have people come on and probably discuss some of their experiences with domestic violence, their take on it, and probably family members of people that experienced it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. All right. So that's all I have for now. And I will see you in the next video. And I love you. Bye.